Hey there, and welcome. So if you're trying to keep up with AI, you know it feels like a new tool gets launched pretty much every single day. It's a lot. The big question is, how do you pick the right one? Well, today, we're going to cut right through all that noise. We're going to figure out how to build the perfect AI toolkit that's custom fit for what you actually need to get done. All right, let's jump in.
Does this look familiar? You've got ChatGPT, you've got Gemini, Claude, and like a dozen others all vying for your attention. And let's be honest, they all kind of seem to do the same thing, right? It's so easy to get totally paralyzed by all the choices, especially when every single one claims to be the best, or the fastest, or the smartest. But here's a thought. What if we're all asking the wrong question? And here it is. This is the big secret. You've got to stop searching for that one single perfect AI that's going to solve all your problems. It just doesn't exist. The real power, the real game changer, is when you assemble a small, hand-picked toolkit where every single tool has a very specific job. It's all about knowing when to use what. To keep things really simple, you can basically sort every AI tool out there into two main buckets. On one hand, you've got your everyday generalists. These are your creative partners, for things like brainstorming, drafting, just getting ideas out. And then you have your focused specialists. Think of these as precision instruments for very specific jobs, like finding a fact and making sure it's right. So let's start by breaking down those generalists. Okay, the generalists. We're talking about the big names you've definitely heard of. ChatGPT, Gemini, and Claude. The best way to think of them is like AI Swiss Army knives. They're incredibly versatile, super powerful, and can do a whole bunch of different things. But here's the catch. While they might look similar on the surface, each one has a very distinct superpower that makes it the absolute best choice for certain types of work. Let's kick things off with the one that started it all, ChatGPT. Now, the key word here is obedience. It's not necessarily about being the smartest model. ChatGPT's real superpower is its incredible reliability. You can give it a really long, complicated prompt with a whole checklist of instructions, and you can actually trust that it's going to follow every single one, without going off script or deciding it knows better.
And this is what that looks like in the real world. So, picture this. You're trying to create a super detailed hiring rubric with, say, a dozen different criteria for a job. If you give that prompt to ChatGPT, it will meticulously check every single box. You try that with some other models, and yeah, you'll get something that looks pretty good at first, but when you look closer, you'll notice they quietly ignored a few of your rules. For any task where one misstep can break the whole thing, ChatGPT is your go-to.
All right, next up, Gemini. Now, where ChatGPT's superpower is obedience, Gemini's is something called multimodality. That sounds technical, but it's actually pretty simple. It just means it's the only one of these big AIs that can truly see and hear. It can process video, audio, images, and text all at the same time without any weird workarounds.
This chart makes it totally clear. Just look at this. Only Gemini gets a green checkmark for handling video and audio natively. The others can kind of fake it sometimes, but Gemini just does it. You can throw a meeting recording, a PowerPoint deck, and a picture of a whiteboard at it and just say, hey, synthesize all this for me. No other generalist tool can do that right now.
And this is why it can do that. Its context window is a massive 1 million tokens. To put that in perspective, that means it can handle enormous amounts of information. We're talking an entire hour-long video or a huge PDF document that would literally make other models just give up. So whenever your project involves different types of media or just a boatload of data, Gemini is the tool you reach for.
Okay, rounding out our big three generalists is Claude, and its superpower? It's all about quality. This quote on the screen really says it all. Claude's first attempt is usually closer to done. What that really means is it spits out stuff that just feels more polished, more human, right from the very first try. And that saves you a ton of time on editing and rewriting. And this high-quality output is especially noticeable in two specific areas. First, coding. A lot of developers will tell you that Claude just seems to write functional code that works on the first try more often than its rivals. And second, polishing copy. If you need to match a very specific writing style or really tighten up an argument, Claude's just exceptional. You can give it a few examples of your own writing, and it will nail your voice almost perfectly. Okay, so that's our generalists. Now let's pivot to the second half of our toolkit. And this right here is the most important thing to get your head around, the fundamental difference between these two categories. Generalists are built for reasoning, the creative stuff like brainstorming, drafting, making something new. Specialists, on the other hand, are built for fetching. Their job is to find a specific fact and to find it for you right now. So welcome to the world of the specialists. If the generalists are our Swiss Army knives, then these tools are our scalpels. They're designed to do one single job, but with extreme surgical precision and accuracy.
First on our list is Perplexity, and its superpower is beautifully simple: finding accurate information and finding it fast. Now, it's really important you don't think of Perplexity as a replacement for ChatGPT. Think of it as a replacement for Google. It's a search engine on steroids, built to fetch facts with citations, not to help you write a poem.
So when do you actually use it? I like to call it for grab-and-go information. You're not looking for a creative partner here. You just need a quick, accurate, up-to-the-minute answer. Is this restaurant good for tourists? Or, wait, what's the exact spec on that new product? For those kinds of quick-fire fact checks, Perplexity is your search scalpel.
Our second specialist is Notebook LM, and its superpower is something I call the walled garden. This is a total game changer. You upload your own documents, your research, your meeting notes, whatever, and it promises to only answer questions based on the information you provided. This hugely minimizes the risk of the AI just making stuff up, which we all know can happen.
This makes it the ultimate verification tool. You pull this out when accuracy is everything, when you absolutely cannot be wrong, and you have the source material to prove it. You could upload the final draft of a big report along with all your research and ask it a simple question. Does this draft make any claims that my sources don't support? It will act like a fact checker and flag any little thing that doesn't add up. Okay, so we've met all the individual players on the team. Now for the fun part. How do we get them to actually work together? Because the real magic happens when you stop thinking about them as separate tools and start combining them into one seamless workflow.
And here's where it all clicks into place. This is a super practical workflow. Step 1. You start broad with a generalist like ChatGPT or Gemini to brainstorm and get a rough draft going. Step 2. As you're writing, you use your specialist scalpel, Perplexity, to do quick fact checks along the way. Step 3. You bring in Claude to handle that last mile, to really polish the final draft and make sure the tone is perfect. And for that final, crucial step 4, you use Notebook LM to verify that everything you've written is 100% supported by your original research. See? Each tool does exactly what it's best at in order.
So, let's wrap all this up with a simple cheat sheet. If you only remember one thing from all this, let it be this really clear framework for when to use what tool.
And here it is, your AI rule of thumb cheat sheet. Simple, right? Use ChatGPT when you have complex, step-by-step instructions. Use Gemini when you're working with video, audio, or just huge files. Turn to Claude when you need to make that final draft absolutely perfect. Grab Perplexity when you just need a quick fact, and use Notebook LM when you need to verify that what you've written is true. That's really it.
At the end of the day, the goal isn't to become an expert on every single AI tool out there. That's impossible. It's about building your own small, powerful toolkit that actually solves the problems you face every day. So looking at these different superpowers, which one fills the biggest gap in your current workflow? That's the one you should start with. Thanks for tuning in.